Cup.
Is enough for Collingwood. Centennial Cup champions in 2024.
This is the OJHL All Access Podcast. What's going on, folks? Alex Bastivansky here. Thanks so much for taking the time to join today. No power rankings because of a bunch of obviously postponements from the past weekend due to the weather conditions around the GTA and Southern Ontario in general. So we're just getting right to the guest today, and we got two good ones. Yeah, we got Chris Vanstone coming back on the VP of Hockey Operations. If I sound sad, I'm not. I'm loving having Vanstone on the show. He's going to talk about a bunch of stuff as we're getting close to the playoffs. So always love having Chris on the show. Second time this year, friend of the show now, and special guest Stefano Durante, who is now the director of recruitment for the OJHL for players. He'll have a lot to say, and many of you will remember that Stefano was the most valuable goaltender at the Royal Bank Cup back in 2016-2017 when the Cobourg Cougars won the whole darn thing. And we're going to talk a lot about that today because I've got some great old footage I'm going to throw up of what was just a remarkable tournament. Let's get the guys in there. Stefano, Chris, gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are things going?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with and Chris, you're going to pipe in on this stuff because you were involved with the league at the time in 2016-2017 with, I believe it was the Ice Hawks back then before going on to the Raiders and then getting involved with the league. But you would have a lot of memories of that Cobourg team at the time as well. What a powerhouse squad that was in the 2016-2017 season. But let's start with Stefano. Like your time with the Cougar, you played, was it 3 years in the league? I'm trying to remember. Was it 3 years?
3 years with the Cougars.
So your time with the Cougars and in the OJHL back then, just talk about what that was like before we get into the RBC, what the experience was like for you and how it helped you with your hockey career.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me today. But Cobourg is a special place to me. It was great to me for 3 years here. That's why I finally, when we got married, decided to come back here and move into here. Cobourg's a great place. They love junior hockey. It's a great community-based team. A lot of the people that you see at the Walmart or the No Frills every day are the people that are coming to your game on Monday nights. It's a great place. It's a great hockey town. I have nothing but great things to say about Cobourg and the town and the people that are here.
Yeah, and your time with the team, obviously, it helped you further your hockey career.
For sure, yeah. 3 years here. I was able to grow not just as a player, but as a human being as well through community service, building different things like that, putting me out into the community. For 3 years here, it was awesome, and it helped me develop into, again, talk about a great player, but also a better husband, all that.
It's sort of surreal that I filmed you during that as a teenager in 2016-17. Now we're talking about you married and out in Cobourg now. Kind of blows my mind a bit, but I'm feeling old. What can I say? Let's talk about that season. By the way, Chris, because back then the way that the conferences were aligned, would you guys have gone up against Cobourg that season? Do you remember?
We didn't play them that year, but we knew they were hosting and were granted their RBC Cup, and we were excited to have a team from our league hosting, and couldn't have picked a better spot than Cobourg. They put a great team together. They had a fantastic bid that they went to the CJHL and Hockey Canada with, and I wasn't surprised that they got awarded to be the host.
Well, that year, Stefano, you guys loaded up. You had some great players. You had a bunch of guys with major junior experience as well who came on board. And Trenton won the East that season. Let's take everyone back down memory lane here, because Trenton won the East, and you guys played Trenton in the conference final. You were missing a few guys, though. I believe McGuire was one of them who was injured for that. But you played them in the conference final. You guys got swept for nothing. You guys had to sit for a while before the RBC came around. What was that like for you guys, sort of that lull in between getting eliminated, and then having to host this tournament and sort of get up for things again?
Yeah, it was definitely a weird time having, I think it was like 53 days off in the middle of the season before a national championship tournament like that. But our coaching staff with John Drews and Corey Beer, they did a great job kind of making it like a training camp experience again. They gave us a week off to try to just go home and recoup. And we came back refreshed and just had our mindset towards, taking it day by day and getting ready for what was going to come in May. Again, like I said, like it was a training camp type of experience. We were skating twice a day, doing different things like that. So for us, it just helped us refresh and get ready for a big tournament.
That year, it was Georgetown that won the Buckland in an unreal series against Trenton in 7 games. That was a great Trenton team that you guys played against. I'll never forget that. That's one of my favorite memories of being involved with the league was filming that Trenton series and that Game 7 in Georgetown, and Alan Corkum, the announcer for the Georgetown Raiders, almost losing his voice when they won it by, I think it was a 1-0 game in the final there. Then Trenton went on and won the Dudley over Georgetown in another unbelievable game. So in the RBC, it was Trenton, it was you guys, Stefano, and you guys had to play Trenton in the opening game on that first night. Obviously, tons of Trenton fans right down the road that came down and watched the game. The atmosphere was great. You guys had all that time to absorb that loss to Trenton. Then you got to face them on the opening night. You beat them it was an overtime too, wasn't it? I think that first game, do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, Josh McGuire, I believe, scored in overtime.
Right. So let's start off. We're going to kind of go with the games that really mattered to you. Let's start with that opening game, what that was like for you guys and sort of getting sweet redemption by being able to beat the Golden Hawks in that game.
Yeah, for sure. Like I like to say, if we don't win that game, I don't really know how we overcome a loss to Trenton again and go on and win a tournament like that. So I think it was really important for us from just an inner team standpoint to go out there and beat Trenton and kind of get our mindset right going into that tournament. Again, the building was incredible. Half the building was probably Trenton, half the building was Cobourg. It was just a cool experience to be a part of and really get our foot on the gas going into the next few games.
By the way, I should ask this, Chris. Did you go to Cobourg for any of the games, or were you watching online?
I watched them online for the first couple, but a great point that Steph brought up, and we've seen this lately in the Memorial Cup. We've seen this lately at the Centennial Cup or any high big tournament when you have a host team. The last number of years, you've seen the host team get knocked out of the playoffs early, and you've had them get a little bit of time to get healthy, get rested up. But it really, really comes down to the coaching staff to keep the kids motivated and keep them keep the eye on the prize there. And I got to know John Drews when he was in Wellington after he left Cobourg and won the Buckland Cup and went to the Dudley Hewitt Cup. I was up in at the Dudley Hewitt Cup with Wellington that year, working with the league. Got to know him and Derek Smith really, really well when they worked together in Wellington. And I have a lot of great things to say and great memories of being around John Drews. Corey Beer, I hired him for Team Can East in 2018 to work with me and the rest of our staff. Another unbelievable hockey mind. So kudos to those two to keep your team staff focused and realize that, hey, we have some time here between we really start getting ready to play in some important games. And I think having you win that first game has a lot to do with the staff and the way they kept you guys prepared going into that with a bit of a layoff.
Yeah, for sure. We also had some just great leaders in our dressing room who kept everyone, on the same page, just moving one day at a time. Like our captain, Josh McGuire, a guy who had been there for 5 years, like Theo Lewis. We just had some great human beings in that dressing room who helped us just keep on going.
Yeah, it was John Drews is the head coach, and I've interviewed John before and had interactions with him over the year. What a great guy. Of course, legendary NHL playoff run with the Capitals back in the day, which that was before your time, Stefano. But Chris and I will remember that pretty well. What was it like having him as a coach? And I mean, what kind of wisdom does he impart on you guys? Does he ever bring in some NHL stuff and say, I remember the time that we had to play against Mario and the Penguins? Or what was it like having him as a head coach?
Well, yeah, he brought a lot to our team. He was definitely a player's coach. Wouldn't lose his mind a lot. It was a lot of just being one of the guys. Essentially, his practices were awesome, and again, he had good support staff there in Corey Beer. I think the big thing he brought in from an NHL standpoint is just bringing in different stories. He used to talk about how like Wayne Gretzky, when they lost to the Islanders for I think it was third or fourth straight time there. The big thing that Gretzky used to say is that we'd walk by the Islanders dressing room and they all had ice bags and that different stuff. So he's like, if you guys want to win a championship, these are the things that we have to do. Like, we got to make sure we're having ice packs in this dressing room after games. That's how we know we've put on a good show.
Well, I remember one of my coaches saying to me when we were younger, if I get into the dressing room after the game and every one of you kids don't look like you've had a bucket of water basically tossed over your head, in other words, your hair's drenched, is then you haven't put in the proper effort. So it's that kind of buy-in and that kind of commitment that, of course, I'm talking about AA hockey. I'm not talking about NHL here, but still, I think it's a universal lesson, right? Let's get into
Tough to get our hair wet these days, Alex, you and I.
Well, for you and I, that's how far back we're going here, though,
That's
folks,
right.
If I'm talking about that. So let's get into, so it's you guys make it to the semifinals. You're playing Penticton from the BCHL. It cannot be stressed just how powerful these two teams that, of course, now are no longer part of the CJHL. But back then it was Penticton from the BCHL and the Brooks Bandits from the AJHL. You had to run the gauntlet. You guys had to go through those two teams who were by far the favorites to meet up in the final of the RBC that year. Every single player on Penticton was an NCAA Division I commit. I remember talking in the stands to the guys on their team who were the scratches, and one guy was committed to like North Dakota. They were big schools, and these guys weren't even in the lineup. They were a powerful, powerful team. You guys knocked them off in the semifinal to advance to the final against Brooks. Talk about that semi against Penticton, because you guys had a really good game against them as well in the preliminary round.
Yeah.
Almost beat them in the preliminary round. I think you lost by 1 goal.
In overtime.
Talk about facing a team like that, because they were a powerhouse, how you guys approached it, and just that game in general.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of confidence going into that game as a team. We finished first in the whole round robin. Just thought, honestly, that we were going to be playing Terrebonne at like the 1 versus 4 seed, but I think something happened the last day where Terrebonne beat somebody and jumped up into that 3rd seed there. So, Penticton had a great team. They were well coached. They had some great players. Matt Robson, their goalie, was a training partner of mine for 20 plus years in the Toronto area.
Former OJHL guy. Yeah. Chris Clack as well, a Georgetown kid. These are kids who originally had played in the OJHL and then gone on to Penticton.
Yeah. So I just thought we had the confidence going in there. Again, the coaching staff put a good plan together on how we can kind of take some things out of their game and use it towards our favor. And in the end, a guy who had been there for 5 years, Theo Lewis, gets a big goal for us. And again, I think we just rolled the momentum of, beating some good teams along the way, like Trenton and Brooks in our final round robin game. And I just think it just helped us gain that confidence to beat a team like Penticton.
So in the final, pardon me, guys, frog in my throat. You're facing the Brooks Bandits, who happen to have a defenseman by the name of Cale McCarr, who was, projected to be a top 5 draft pick, and he was. I think he went 4th overall to Colorado that year. Great, obviously, just even back then you could see it. But going into that game against Brooks, did you think that, by the way, you played both teams, did you find Brooks to be a better team than Penticton, or the other way around?
I thought they were built a little bit different. Penticton had a lot more skill, I would say. Brooks could bully you around. They had some bigger, tough guys, but both, top 1 and 2 in the CJHL at the time, and both teams that could do some damage if you give them a little bit of time and space.
Yeah, Brooks also a ton of commits that season. So take us through that final game. Nationally broadcast on TSN. I was lucky enough to I got permission to film the game myself too for the OJHL archive, so that we had all the highlights as well and the celebrations afterwards. So, I had I would say a front row seat. I had a beautiful center ice seat, which is the best perspective to film it at. But talk about that game. You go into that game against Brooks, what the game plan is. Before we get to the big goal at the end, just take us through that.
Yeah, for sure. I know we came into the game again. We beat Brooks in the round robin. They didn't have Makar playing in that game, but I think we took confidence from that game in the way we played in our system and the things that made us really good. I just remember driving through town in the morning of that game, going to get my French vanilla and chocolate chip muffin from Tim Hortons, and kind of the buzz in the town. It was a pretty exciting time. You got family coming in, different things like that. So I felt from a team standpoint, we were loose, excited to do this. This is something that we had been looking forward to for over a year and a half. You think by the time we got that RBC Cup bid. And then the game comes, and for me, myself, I was pretty relaxed. I went into that tournament just, be happy, enjoy that you're in this moment, grateful for every opportunity that you're getting here. And then again, I felt in the first, they hemmed us in for a while. I can't remember what the shots were, but I think we...
I know the final shots were 43-23 or something along those lines.
Yeah, we finished the first period. I think they had 17 shots and we had 3, but it was a 1-1 hockey game going into the second period. And then I think from there, it just flowed up and down, highs and lows. And then, we go down 2-1 off a really nice goal by, I think, their captain, Nick Perkusik, who was a Robert Morris player. And then in the end, one of our hardest working players, Ryan Castleman, a good buddy of mine, gets a little tap in at the side of the net off a rebound. And, it's a tied game against one of the best teams in the country going to overtime. What could you ask for, right, for a national championship?
It was unbelievable. And then what did Drew say to you guys in the dressing room as you're getting ready to go into overtime?
To be honest with you, I don't really remember too much in between the periods. For me, it was just about kind of staying in the moment. I had my own routine. For all the goalies who are listening, they know about the routines you have and the different superstitions you need to do to get ready. But I think the thing in our dressing room was just calm and enjoy this moment. Don't grip your sticks too tight, and one shot away from winning a national championship.
And that is exactly what happened. It was Minerva, right? Who got the Nick Minerva, who I believe was up from the States, wasn't he? He was
up from the States. We brought him in January to kind of help bolster our decor a bit, and so helped us a lot.
It was just who set him up? Who was the guy who got the assist? So what's that?
Matt Bumstead.
Tease him up. What the shot of the century. I mean, this guy just. Sorry, Chris. You watched all this, right? You watched it on TSN when it went down, right?
Yeah. So 100%.
Yeah, and Minerva with the shot. You guys are. You're on the ice, on the other end, but give us your perspective of what you saw, and then just what your memories are, if anything, regarding that. Was everything just a blur? But you watch him tee it up. Take us through Minerva scoring the winner.
Yeah, just before that, though, too, I think 3.5 minutes before, Makar gained some speed through the neutral zone and came in kind of on a mini 3-on-2, and he put one to the right of me, and it missed the tap in by this much. So we were lucky to get away with one there. And then leading up to that goal by Minerva, Josh McGuire, I believe, dumps it in. And it's a play where I think the goalie could give it to their defenseman to keep the play going. He holds on to the puck, and it's a face off there. I had a perfect sight line for that shot from Minerva. You could just see where it was going from the time it left his stick. And then from there, kind of just tapped my pulse and threw my stick up in the air. And if you actually watch the clip of that, I almost nailed myself in the head with my own stick. Just so excited. But no, it's something that I still get cracked up about at this moment, just because of all the hard work from all the different people that made us win that championship.
You were named the most valuable goaltender for the tournament. Chris, do you remember Stefano's play during that tournament? Some of the saves he was making.
Well, I do, and I do remember how much hard work that he put in to be successful for that tournament, and how great of an accomplishment was to speak to AIC and be able to commit and keep playing hockey. And no doubt that tournament had a lot to do with it. So it was great to see that as well.
Did the commitment come after the RBC, Stefano?
Yeah, AIC had talked to me maybe like 1 or 2 times, seen me play in the playoffs, but they really wanted to see it during the RBC. And then
it must have been hot for you after that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, after we won that national championship, they were one of the first schools to reach out and come for a visit and different things like that. And nothing but great things to say about that program as well.
I managed to get, and I've got the footage of it here, really, really cool scene afterwards, which was Minerva coming off the, so you guys celebrated, and while the celebration is going on also, Nick came off the ice, helmet off and everything, and his girlfriend comes and jumps in his arms, and he's just hugging her, and she's kissing him, they're crying, and he's just saying, I can't believe it, and she's like, I can't believe it. And then his dad comes along and just wraps him up, and they're both crying together and stuff. Like, just one of those moments that really sticks in your mind. It was just, and McGuire saying, when we interviewed him afterwards,
you can't write it up any better than what we just did there. No feeling is like what you think it's going to be, and this is the best feeling of my life. This is the best day of my life right here, and to share it with all those guys on the ice that are my family, my brothers, I can't believe it right now.
McGuire, he played Major Junior, right?
He was in Peterborough the year before.
And he said, this is the greatest moment of my life. There's nothing that compares to this, Drews' comments, your comments. Anyway, just it was a phenomenal experience. So let's get into where you went from there now that you're in the league, because you go to AIC, just in SPHL, but briefly take us through your experience at AIC and what that was like.
Yeah, AIC, it was an incredible experience, 4 years there. When I went in as a freshman, in our freshman class all together, the program had never won a playoff game. When we left there after 4 years, we'd won 3 league championships, 3 conference championships, played in the Sweet 16 twice. Third one, which I think we had our best team, was the COVID year where it got canceled. I think we could have done some damage, been a Frozen 4 team that year, but I can't AIC was a great experience for me. Coach Eric Lang, what that program and what he built, it was awesome to see. It's really sad now that the program is ending their Division 1 and going down to Division 2 for the alumni like me and the alumni that spread across North America and Europe. It's hard to see, especially when you win. I think Eric Lang was on a run of 4 championships in 5 years, something like that. So it stinks, but I have great fond memories at AIC.
At least they're playing D2, so you can still follow them. They're gonna keep a program going for that though. Playing D2. Yeah. Okay. So then you make the transition, and Chris, do you remember when Stefano was being brought on? This is something you guys had been talking about. He was a guy that you had a great interest in coming on board with the league.
Oh, very much so. We had some criteria that we had put out when we were looking at applicants. Steph checked all the boxes. Namely, we're kind of like University of North Carolina men's basketball team. We like to keep things within the family. So you have our commissioner who played in the league. You have our vice president of business operations who played in the league. I ran a number of teams throughout the OJHL in my history of being with the league. And now Steph gets to join and be part of it. And so he checked off a lot of boxes, his passion for the game, his youthfulness that he can come apart when he talks to teams, young kids that are looking to make the transition to junior. So when we were looking at someone to run our director of recruitment side of it and hockey stuff, he was a great hire. It was a no-brainer for us, and he's done a heck of a job. He's been out speaking to a number of coaches. He gets to a lot of tournaments. I know he'll say he's just so lucky to work with me, but we couldn't be happier with the hiring of Steph. And we know he has great things ahead of him. We're not sure exactly how long he'll be with us, because I think he has a trajectory of going to higher levels and whatnot, but we are sure happy to have him within our fold.
Steph, how have you enjoyed it so far? And take us through like Chris was alluding to some of the stuff that you do, but what do you normally say to prospective players in regards to the league when you're recruiting them?
Yeah, like I said, like, thanks, Chris, for those kind words. Like, I loved playing in this league as a player. Like, I had so much fun in this league. I developed as an athlete, but then also as a human being, and this league got me ready for so many things post hockey, which was awesome. And now to be back in the league, working in it, trying to keep going and building it to that next level. I've loved it so far. Again, all the people that I work with are awesome, and it's been fun being a part of it. For me, the biggest thing I say when going out to talk to players is, like the thing I just said, like, you're not just going to grow as an athlete in this league, you're going to grow as a human being as well through different things that you do with your teams. Again, we're not just here to build hockey players. Like, we're here to develop young men and get them ready for whatever happens after their 5 years of junior A hockey, or if it's 2 years, whatever it is, whatever they go on to next, whether that be, NCAA, OHL, CIS, or just going to school and getting ready for their second part of their life. That's the biggest thing I like to tell athletes.
Yeah, I think Steph nailed it there. The league model, if you want to call it, is developing young men through the game of hockey. And again, it's not just about the game. It's what happens around the game, on the ice, off the ice. We've been really, really successful of moving kids on to higher levels, but within the game of hockey. But I'm also proud of the kids that have moved on to be professionals, to work in the police departments, to work in the fire departments. We're going to have a call with the Metro Police later on this month where we're going to speak to them about hiring and recruiting, similar to what Steph does for us through hockey. I have a number of people that reach out to me that are recruitment people that say, hey, listen, can we speak to your teams? Can we speak to your older kids? Because people like to hire people within team environments. So
yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
It's massive. And again, like when we talk about developing young men through the game of hockey, it's all about encompassing of being a good person in society, being a good person when you're away from the rink, being a good person when you get out of the game and you leave our league. I think it's important to us. We love to hear alumni come back and speak like Steph is about their time within the league and how much they grew as a person, whether they're living at home or billeting or whatever it may be, and how much it's led to their success as a person going forward outside of the game hockey and trying to be a contributing person in society.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love seeing how many, it's always been like that in terms of firefighters and police officers, how many former hockey players go into those jobs, because it's about leadership and being part of a team. And it'd be interesting to take a poll of, some of these departments to see how many of you guys played, junior hockey or some form of professional hockey, at some point in time. But so speaking of recruiting, guys, we got to get it out there. Of course, the combine is coming up April 22nd through the 25th. That's going to be a big part for you, obviously, with your job, Stefano. But Chris, for you first, explain what the combine is and why this is a great thing for prospective players.
Yeah, for sure. It was an event that the league came up with. Rick Morocco and his staff drive and manage it. Steph and our side on the hockey side will help put teams together and things like that. But it's mandatory that all our teams come. All 24 teams will be at the event. They're there every day. We have a meet and greet at the end of it with families and prospective players that want to speak to somebody that may live in around one of our teams. So we allow them to ask questions about practice schedules, home nights, whatever it may be that may fit that person's schedule. We allow them to have that, which is a great event. It happens at the end of the combine. But our teams have taken a number of kids from the combine. We've had a number of kids affiliate if they go and play U18 prior to, or if they want to play at a lower level, if they're playing junior B or something and want to affiliate with one of our teams. There's a number of ways that kids can be part of the OJHL, but it's a great event for younger people to get an idea of what the league's all about. So some people may not know much of us. This is why we brought Stefan and created this position for him, is that we're getting out there, and I know we've been around for a long time, but we're getting out there, we're getting in front of teams, getting in front of families and explaining to them exactly what the development path is from our league to the OHL to whatever higher league we're looking at. Again, we're a development league. We know we're a parking lot for kids to come develop and go play somewhere else at a higher level. And so this combine is the very first opportunity that families and players can get to know exactly what the OJHL is all about. So it's a huge event for us, and it really, really kickstarts us off into the summer.
Stefano, what do prospective players get at this event when they come to take part in it? I know it's multiple games. It's just tell everyone about what exactly it is.
Yeah, for sure. Like the biggest thing I say they get is the exposure. To have all 24 teams in one location for 4 days. I think that's the biggest thing for you to get your junior A journey started the right way, is just putting on a good show in front of all 24 teams in one place. Additionally to that, you're going to get one practice on the first day and then 4 games, as well as 2 seminars through different guest speakers that we'll be having coming in. And then I think it's a jersey, socks, and an event gift that the business ops guys do a great job in getting ready for them. But again, the big thing I say is the exposure and the ability to market yourself.
Yeah.
The past years, we've had T-shirts and shorts for them with OJ brand logos on it and different things, and maybe some sayings on the back or what have you for the kids to warm up in. And I always find it hilarious. Like they all show up, they all get their stuff, and they put their OJ stuff on and start warming up. And it's great to see them be so excited about learning about the league and feeling like that they're a part of it.
Yeah. So it's April 22nd through the 25th. It's at the Oakville's 16 Mile Sports Complex, and OJHL.ca if people want to find out more of prospective players want to find out more about it. Yeah, just a couple more things, but guys, the first season of the video goal review and first league in all of CJHL to implement as well. Take us through, Chris. How's it gone so far?
I would say it's been a success. Could it be better? For sure. I think anything else that you do for the first time is going to have some blips and hiccups. We don't have control of all our arenas. Obviously, some of them are privately owned, some of them are publicly owned. So sometimes the internet can be spotty in some spots. But I'm real proud of our teams. All 24 teams bought into this. They all purchased iPads. They all purchased iPhones. They all purchased the exact equipment that they need to have this work. And we do have numbers that we'll probably share with people at the end of the year. How many times it was used, how many times things were overturned, how many times goals were called good goals. And I think we're going to look at it and say, is there anything at the end of the year, we're going to look at the process of how it works, and we're going to see if we can make it better. And we're going to speak to our coaches and our general managers and say, hey, listen, is there something that you believe that we can add to video goal review that we may not have this year? Like, we don't have high sticking. We don't, like, the cameras aren't the same height at every rink. So it can't be standard across the rinks to look for high sticking. Yeah. Offsides, we haven't got to yet because we don't have a camera there. So, the most things we're looking at is, was the net on its moorings before the puck crossed the line? Was it kicked in? Just the general things that you can see around the net. Did the puck actually cross the line fully to be a goal? So I think, having those iPads and be able to challenge things is a great thing. But what I really look at, what I get excited about as an ex-coach is the development side of it. So you have the coaches with these iPads on the bench that now can go through video live with the players on the bench, whether it's a teaching exercise or what have you. And I think the development side with these iPads that our coaches have is amazing for the player. And to me, whether it's video goal review for checking to make sure the goal's a good one or not, or having an iPad on the bench for teaching, all that is doing is adding value to the player and the player within our league. And that's one thing that we really, really strive upon at the league office is, how can we add more value for the player to play in our league compared to another league? What can we offer them, and what can we give them that somebody else not doing? And this video goal review process is one thing that we decided that we could do.
Yeah, even if it's just, it's obviously not perfect yet, but even if it's something to have there to possibly help with a situation, I mean, it's certainly it's better having it than not having it, right, Chris?
Yeah,
To the very least
100%.
start off with. Yeah.
And I think I got to give our guys credit. Like, they're very patient with it. We had to teach scorekeepers how to use it. Then we had to deal with the officials at the OHA and how they were going to use it. And so there was a lot of teaching. And as I said, with people, I give them credit. They worked hard at it. I think our scorekeepers have done a great job. I think the officials have really, really picked up on now how to use it. And again, next year it'll just even be better. Maybe as I said, maybe we'll add some more things to the process to make it even better. But the more you use it, the more you get used to it, the better it is. It hasn't really cost us time-wise of having the games longer, which is something that, you're always concerned about. And it's been a success for sure. I've seen the numbers. They prove it. But again, it's not every night that we have the internet working in so-and-so's rink or whatever it may be. And we're going to have to try to figure out exactly how we can make it 100%, not just say 98%.
Finally, guys, wrapping things up here, but the most important question of the day is, I'm assuming you will be in front of your televisions tomorrow night.
Is there a hockey game?
To watch I'm talking about the basketball game. What do you think?
Raptors.
Predictions for the Canada-USA final, guys. I mean, it's obviously going to very emotionally charged environment in Boston. The Americans took the first game, but what do you guys see for tomorrow? Stefano, let's start with you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a tight game, just as like the first one was. Not a lot of time and space through the neutral zone. So I think goaltending is going to be a big key in this one, and I think Binnington, with the experience of winning a big game in Boston, Game 7 a few years ago, I think really helps them. So I'm just going to go with a 2-1 win for Canada. Give me our biggest star, Connor McDavid, getting the game winner. So,
Chris?
Nice. Before the tournament started, I may have had a different answer. But as Steph is well aware, and I've been there too in short-term competitions, it's really, really hard to beat a team twice. And so I'm going to go with Canada. I think it'll be a close game. I do know the U.S. is battling some injuries. But I think because it's such a short turnaround in a small competition that they're involved in here, I think it's really hard to beat a team twice. So I'm going to go with Canada because I don't think they'll lose twice to the U.S.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 5-4 for Canada. Possibly. What's that?
Snowball fight. Everyone's scoring.
There's just so much offensive talent. By the way, do we know who's missing from the U.S.? I mean, I know McAvoy. Did you see that Hughes is flying to Boston apparently? Now, whether they can't insert him into the lineup unless there's an injury or a sickness. I don't know why, but I could see that happening all of a sudden. Someone comes down with something, or
it's put on Robitaille Island.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's gonna be a great. They really hit on something, didn't they? With this, they took what had become a pretty stale event. I mean, even the NBA is looking at this now, talking about possibly doing a World versus USA game next year, because the ratings for the Four Nations have been off the charts apparently, and it's going to be incredible tomorrow. Well, I have a ton of respect for those American players, but go Canada, go! Let's hope in the end. But guys, listen, thanks so much for taking the time, Stefano. Honestly, like you and I, aside from interviewing you several years ago, that was our last contact. So great seeing you again. And, congrats on coming on board with the league and doing such a great job and being, a great example for these young players, both in the league and prospective players to follow, because you got a great story. So thanks for taking the time to join.
Thanks for having me today. This is awesome.
Yeah, and Chris, thanks again. I'm sure we'll have you on before the year's done.
No
Once
problem.
Again, we'll get Morocco.
Couple weeks away from the playoffs. Everyone's gearing up. Give me some great hockey.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. Yeah, and so for everyone who's watching, next week is Tyler Fukakusa from used to play for the JRCs, obviously, and is having a great NCAA career. And then the week that the playoffs start, I believe, as long as I can, twist their rubber arms to get them on, it'll be Ron Valentine and Alan Corkum to do some hockey talk. I got to see about Joe Washkaruk as well, because he normally does our playoff previews. But anyway, that'll be a playoff special on the Wednesday right before the playoffs start. So Yeah, everyone stay up to date with everything throughout the league as the regular season winds down. We get into the playoffs by checking out, of course, the league's official social media outlets. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.